What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and you know me, whenever I get a fancy for a video, I gotta make one. And so I read this article. I'm actually gonna read it to you guys. It's super short, but I just had to, because it is an example of mainstream media doing some good reporting, some good journalistic reporting. And obviously this is in part an opinion piece, but he's putting statistics in there that are undeniable, and it explains, well, let me get to it. So the article comes from Dolphins Wire by Kyle Krabs. This is interesting. And the title of the article is how one statistic sums up Ryan Tannehill's tenure in Miami. Okay. You know, and honestly, I'll admit, when I read the title at first, I thought they were going to say some crazy shit like, you know, or use some super, you know, broad, vague, you know, non-nuanced, you know, statistic like his win-loss, right? A lot of people want to look at his win-loss record and be like, oh, that's all that matters. Forget all the rest of the context. Anyway, so let me go ahead and read this article to you. So again, how one statistic sums up Ryan Tannehill's tenure in Miami. And obviously there's a lot more that goes into this, because it's a lot more nuanced than just that, but this article is great. 248. Now, for those of you who watched my Smashing on Tannehaters video, you'd actually know this stat, and it is the number of sacks that Ryan Tannehill has taken in his career as a Miami Dolphin. This is the single most significant and telling number of Ryan Tannehill era in Miami. You see, that is the number of sacks taken by Tannehill during his 88-game career in Miami. That figure works out to be nearly 3 sacks a game at 2.8. Forget about who is to blame for the sacks, because there's certainly enough blame to go around, and again, to put emphasis, to go around, because it's not all Tannehill. There's 11 people on the field, right? Ryan Tannehill, Jonathan Martin, Jesse Davis, Daniel Thomas, the list goes on and on. It's not the point. Right, exactly. It's not the point, because the underlying issue is more important, right? But again, though, it's not the overall point, but it is part of the point. It is part of the context, right? Because it's a lot of people, again, like so many people are like, oh, but all of that's Tannehill's fault. That's just not even close to being factually accurate, but hey, you know, whatever. If that's how you think, well, own it, I guess. Whatever. Here's the point. Tannehill was sacked 248 times in 88 games over the course of 7 seasons. That number is third highest in team history, trailing only Bob Greasy at 267 and Dan Marino at 270. History lesson. Bob Greasy started 161 games in Miami. Dan Marino started 242. And Ryan Tannehill, in nearly 1/2 and 1/3 of the career starts, respectively, is within 25 sacks of both of them. So he got sacked at an exponential rate. And this is why the criticism and the hate of, a big part of why the criticism and hate of Tannehill is so unfounded. Because if Bob Greasy and Dan Marino got sacked 3 times a game on average, and at that high rate, Jesus Christ, dude. I mean, there's no way that they would have had the careers that they did. And they needed protection. They needed a running game. And because they had the, and supporting casts, you have the you know, all the great wide receivers and running backs. You know, you have Mercury Morris, Mark Duper, Mark Clayton, the Clayton brothers, right? You have Patrick Surtain, or wait, he was a cornerback, never mind. But you still had good defenses and stuff too throughout there. All right, keep going on with this. I'm almost done. Yikes. Granted, the league has changed quite a bit since Bob Greasy stepped under center. Greasy only attempted 500 more passes than Ryan did in 7 seasons, so that discrepancy is a little easier to forgive. But Dan threw 8,358 passes in the NFL versus Ryan's 2,911 as a member of the Miami Dolphins. And where Dan was masterful within the pocket, Ryan devolved into woeful. That's actually not totally accurate. But I will say that that is for sure one of his weaker areas. I'm not denying that. His pocket presence wasn't the greatest, but that can be forgiven a little bit when after 5, 6, 7 years, you're just so used to getting pummeled all the time that, you know, you get a little bit antsy, and sometimes you're thinking about the guy coming up your ass instead of, you know, your footwork or stepping up necessarily. Now, again, that is a criticism that is fair, though, and that is something that he needs to work on. But I guarantee, and I've said it for a long time, with at least a decent offensive line, that wouldn't have been as near anywhere near as glaring an issue. Okay? So, let's see. Where was I? Dan's lightning fast release spared him a lot of sacks and lost yardage. Ryan never had the luxury, and he never had the line. Exactly. He didn't have the luxury of any kind of time or any kind of offensive line. Had Ryan not missed the end of 2016, all of 2017, and a handful of games in 2018, he'd be leaving the team as the most sacked quarterback in franchise history. Whomever the Dolphins tab to take the reins will need to be better maneuvering the pocket. Now, again, while Tannehill needed to be better at that, that is not the biggest factor, right? And this article is being a little bit too neutral in that regard. I would say they're equivocating those two things as if they're weighed equally, and they're not. The sacks played a larger role than Ryan Tannehill's weakness in that area. Again, if he had the offensive lines and the supporting casts and, you know, coaching staff that supported him and backed him like Bob Greasy and Dan Marino did, that wouldn't have been anywhere near as big of a deal as it's being trumped up to be right now, right? So, but this article did a good job of pointing out the immense disparity between, you know, some of the other great, but still, despite all that, you know, he still holds a gang of Dolphins records. And some of those, he passed Dan Marino and Bob Greasy to get. I mean, obviously, he had to pass him in all those categories at some point, but I mean, they held some of those records until he took them. So, like, that's why all this crap with Ryan Tannehill and the level of criticism he gets, like, I'm okay with having some constructive criticism, you know, of like, okay, you need to be better with your footwork and your pocket presence. Absolutely. But I'm not gonna hold him as responsible for that as a lot of people, because his offensive lines have been trash. He hasn't had supporting casts, receivers getting open so he doesn't have to sit back there in a porous pocket for fucking 5 seconds. Right? So, anyway, I just wanted to read that to you guys so that way, you know, you can see it's just another data point. Anyway, that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoy my videos. Look, man, I'm gonna keep fighting this, and I'm gonna be following, you better believe I'm gonna be following Gase's career from here on. I'm gonna be following Tannehill's career from here on still, you know, and I'm gonna see, man. And you know, if I'm proven wrong at any point with any of these different things that I'm talking about, I'll admit it, and I'll be like, okay, you know, that the facts matter, and I was proven wrong in this case or that case, but I'm gonna be following, man, because I'm telling you, you know, things are not gonna work out as fancifully as a lot of people hope or want them to with the way that this organization is going. But anyway, I'm going to end there, guys. I hope you enjoy my videos. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comments section. And as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.